This is an undersea marine biology research center located on the ocean floor. Ella is a marine biologist working here, and her husband Roy is an engineer at the facility. Recently, Ella developed a whale song that could theoretically attract whales. She placed great importance on this experiment. Roy operated a drone to retrieve the experimental pod from the base. Just then, the system alert indicated a power problem, an old recurring issue. Roy believed they should abort the mission and return to base for repairs, but Ella disagreed. When their supervisor came to see them off, Ella didn't mention the power issue and maintained a confident demeanor, while Roy looked clearly frustrated. Soon, the two set out to conduct the experiment. They piloted a submersible to the test area and used the drone to position the experimental pod at the designated location. After the pod deployed, Roy maneuvered the submersible beneath it and docked with the experimental pod. With that, the preliminary preparations were complete. Roy then piloted the drone back to base. Just then, the alarm sounded again. Another power failure. Roy wanted to abort the experiment, but Ella didn't want to give up like this and asked him to go outside for repairs. Unable to refuse, Roy could only comply. After he exited the submersible, Ella followed Roy's instructions to undock from the experimental pod. She then piloted the submersible to wait nearby for word from Roy. Suddenly, harsh static burst through her headset. The next second, the ocean surface churned violently as a crimson tsunami surged toward them. The submersible was swept far away. After an unknown amount of time, Ella regained consciousness. Roy and the experimental pod were nowhere to be found. She surfaced the submersible, desperate to understand what had happened. The scene above water left her utterly shocked. Countless meteors were falling from the sky, which had turned red. The ocean surface had become scalding hot. The submersible continuously warned of excessive temperatures as meteors crashed into the water around her. Ella had no choice but to dive back into the deep ocean. Once she reached a safe depth, she immediately contacted the base. Her supervisor told her the base had just experienced an earthquake, and similar disasters were occurring worldwide. The supervisor advised her to return immediately. But how could Ella abandon Roy? She immediately activated the submersible's scanning function. The radar quickly detected metallic objects nearby. Ella immediately piloted toward them, only to find a crashed airliner. But then she remembered the whale capture system they were testing. Just then, the sonar picked up whale calls that perfectly matched the whale song she had composed. She knew this had to be Roy's signal, and immediately steered toward the sound source. Along the way, large numbers of whales were also swimming in that direction. Clearly attracted by Ella's composed whale song, it seemed her experiment had succeeded. Soon, she found the experimental pod. Communications were restored, and Ella was overjoyed to hear Roy's voice again. Under his guidance, she docked the submersible with the experimental pod and immediately pulled him back inside. The system warned that oxygen levels in the submersible were down to 16%. They had to return to base immediately, but judging from the surface conditions and their supervisor's description, the apocalypse had arrived.